Never
Yeah,
say.
and I would have always taken the middle one, except she said that. So.
Yeah, she was wrong. She's who I told, so.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're all fallible.
No, I know. I hate it, especially when I'm away, because it's another thing to do.
Do you need help? Or
We'll find it.
Are you trying to get to King class in this one?
Yeah, but what part of it?
It's the 29, so it would be toward the end of King class.
What's it start with?
It starts with, there's either Vita Baron 1 and Vihi Tem, which isn't very...
Friends will be starting in just a minute.
But after it is, if you get to the Asira, then you've gone too far. That looks maybe like it. Let's see. Okay, so Korach is, let's see.
Further.
Yeah, we're a little further. We have,
We'll wait past it. No, the other one.
That's what I
Yeah.
said, yeah, further.
yeah, we have Hukat and Balak.
Sorry for that. We keep going. I mean, it's pretty obvious because it has all those months.
Yeah.
Who doesn't know what's going to say?
Right.
So, keep going. So we go with it.
Here's some Yom HaSheni, okay, we're not here yet.
You're basically right.
So where's it start?
So, I don't know, is it 29? Where's the wolf?
Maybe on the chair.
What are you looking for?
Luach.
Just where it's exactly.
The exact
There
reading.
is one over there.
There, that purple book, yeah. Oh. So, yeah. I'll take it. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. September. Okay, so it's 2912.
We're still working on it. Be there very shortly if you're watching.
Look at that. Okay.
You're used to doing it the other way.
All right, if you're watching, I'm going to give a little Torah tutorial just because I can. See how the ark is very open. Now, although we're, of course, making exceptions to the rule, if you look at the Torah covers, they're designed with generally what book we'll be reading from. So if you see the one with the spiral, that's usually in Bereshit, because it looks like Bereshit. If you see the Ten Commandments, they're given in the book of Exodus. So that one will usually be, if we're reading from Exodus, that'll be the one we read from. On the top, with the breastplate, that's the priest, so that would be Leviticus. Now, we're not going to actually be reading from that one today, because another one happens to be rolled in the same place as lighter. If you see, now two are very similar. There's one well, they're both the Israelites wandering. One has a cloud and some words on it in Hebrew. The other, they're just wandering. The one that's just wandering, that's generally the book of Numbers, and has the golden yod, and therefore that's almost always the additional reading for a particular holiday. The Deuteronomy one is Jerusalem, because we're looking out to the new world. And then the minion one is the one with the lettering and the wandering, so it looks like the book of Numbers. So that's the one exception. We also happen to be using it today because we used it for the high holidays. It was in the book of Leviticus, and so we kept it there for today. So that's generally the system, and that's how you know where they are. So, if you ever take out a Torah, if it doesn't look like it's in the right place, first thing you do is check another Torah. Now, it doesn't always work. Sometimes you roll, but I promise it's better if you check another Torah, because it might be right next to it. Of course, it could not be. It's always possible. But I didn't move them. I completely forgot about them. But usually, that's how it works. All right, friends, we're going to begin, albeit quite late. Chag Sameach. We're going to close the ark, however. And we're going to begin with a very brief Birkat HaShachar on page 10. Of course, we don't actually have a minyan, but we're going to go ahead and proceed with Shachari nevertheless. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu asher natan tzivin alafin bin yom u'bin laila. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam she'asani b'tzalmo. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam she'asani Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam she'asani ben chorim. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam pokech ivrim. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam hamavi sharumim. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam martir asurim. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam zokef kefufim. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam okar aretz al hamayim. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam she'asa likol tzorki. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam hamechim et tzarei gaber. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam ozer yisrael bigura. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam ozer yisrael b'tifara. Baruch atah Adonai mechalam anoten le'ayef koach. We're going to turn now to page 88, but which I should have been doing while we were rolling Torahs, I need to check that we are actually going out to the internet. Everything here looks great, but probably someone's out there saying, or possibly someone's out there saying, hey, there's no sound, or I can't see the picture. So I have to check that. My apologies. We're working. Hallelujah, 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 bekocho. Hallelujah, hallelujah, birkia uzo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, bigurotav. Hallelujah, hallelujah, kirov gulo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, betega shofar. Hallelujah, hallelujah, benever bechinor. Hallelujah, hallelujah, betof. Ummacho, hallelujah, hallelujah, b'minim ve'ugav, hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tziltzalei shama, hallelujah, hallelujah, b'tziltzalei teruah, kol hanshama tehallel, hallelujah, hallelujah, kol hanshama tehallel, hallelujah, hallelujah. Sim shalom. Oh, if you're at home, you want to sort of remind the viewers at home, for the 3 people who are watching, which is viewers, and would actually, if we used virtual minion, would actually take us right there. But anyway, we are using Sim Shalom, because the Shirat Avraham does not have the holiday prayers in it. That would have added like 75 pages, basically, so, and interfered with its ease of use. In case 334, Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimcha. We are close. ידך נשפך נפרך נפרך את שם קודשך, כאמור לדברכם שערני וקרא את שם קודשו. 336, middle of the page. הלל בתעצמו עוזך, הגדול בכבוד שמך, הגיבור לנצח ונורא בנורותיך, המלך
היושב על כיסא רם ונישא, שוכן על מרום וקדוש שמו, וכתוב לנו צדיקים ברשעים נפתילה, לפי ישרים תתפלל, ובדברי צדיקים תתברך, ובשון חסידים תתרומם, ובקרב קדושים תתקדש. ומקלות רבבות עמך בית ישראל, ברינה יתפאר שמך מלכנו בכל דור ודור, שכברך כל יצורים לפניך אדוני אלוהינו, ולאבותינו לא תודה לשבח לפאר לרומם להדר, לברך להלל ולקדש, או כל דברי שירות ותשבחות, דוד בן ישי עבדך, משיחך, ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. ברכות והודות בצווי העולם, ברוך אתה אדוני, אל מלך גדול בתשבחות, אל ההודות אדון הנפלאות, הבחר בשירי זמרה, מלכי העולמים. We will skip the Chatzikashna Baruch Hu for now. We go to page 340. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם יוצא אור וחושך, עושה שלום וראה את הכל. 342. המאיר לרץ דברים על עבר חמים, וכתוב בחדש בכל יום תמיד. אל ברוך גדול. תתברך צורינו מלכנו וגואלנו בורא קדושים ישתבח שמך לעד מלכנו. וכולם פותחים את פיהם קדושת תורה בשירה וזמרה, מברכים ומשבחים ומעריצים ומקדישים וממליכים את שמה אל המלך הגדול גיבור הקדוש הוא. וקדושת המלך רוח בשפה רב ונעימה, קדושה כולם כאחד עולים ואומרים ביראה, קדוש 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 אדוני צבאו בכל הארץ כבודו. ופנים בחר קדוש פרש גדול מן הסים והצרפים, למטה משבחים ואומרים ברוך כבוד אדוני עם כל. אור חדש הציון תאיר, אור חדש הציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו מהרה לאורו, מהרה לאורו, ברוך אתה אדוני, יוצר לאורו, רב רבה. וקרבת אנשים חג עושה באמת להודות לך, חכה באהבה, ברוך אתה אדוני, ובחר בעם ישראל באהבה, אל מלך נאמן. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בעם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאור על ידיך, ואילו תרדופות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We're on page 348, 349. There were two other people here, right? Sid and Joan. Sid somewhere too? Did I make that up? Okay. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לכם, אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם אלוהים, אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. Dor Kam Ushmo Kayam B'Kisona Chana Machuto V'Emato Liad Kayam Et U'Barav Chayim V'Kayamim. Mechatara Elenu V'Levotenu Malkinu L'Chavotenu Golenu Goel Avotenu Yotrenu Tzu Yeshuatenu V'Nematzenu L'Am Shemecha In Elohim Zulatecha Ezrat Avotenu Atahu Me'olam. Baruch Hu Barach Moshe V'Yisrael Chanashira B'Simcha Rabba V'Yamru Kulam Mi Chamocha Ba'elim Adonai Mi Chamocha Nedar B'Kodesh Nora Tehilot Oseh Feleh Shira Chadasha Shivku Geulim Leshimcha Asfat Hayam Yachad kulam hodu v'himlichu ve'amru Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed. Tzur Yisrael kuma be'ezrat Yisrael uv'techinu mecha Yehuda ve'Yisrael Gorleinu Adonai tzvaot shemo Kedosh Yisrael Baruch atah Adonai Gal Yisrael. Private Amidah, page 366 for festival morning, 366 through 376.
Okay, so friends, we're not quite at a minyan yet. We will be soon, so we're going to take the extra time now, and we're going to put together the lulav and etrog sets. So, if everyone who didn't bring one, which looks like is everyone, you brought one? Okay. So, I want you to come up here, and although we need to maintain social distance, I don't want you to take and put it together way back there. We're going to try to restrict the mess that it makes to this front area. So take them over here. You probably will need the scissors. I only have one pair. And we're going to go ahead and construct the lulav and etrog. So let's go ahead and do that now, even though we have to repeat the Amidah. This is normally something we do before Hallel, but, you know, I might as well take the time for that. Generally, what you're going to see is when you construct the lulav and etrog, it comes with the lulav in the middle. The weeping willow, the one that looks like the lips, goes on the side where it's slightly raised, where it's just higher than the other, and the myrtle, which looks like the eyes, goes on in the one that's slightly lower. Okay, that's what I can tell you. See, when you get this thing empty, you'll see that the two wings.
Say that again.
So one is taller than the other. Yeah. The weeping willow goes in the taller one.
Okay, and that's the one on this side is the weeping.
Yeah, right now it's on the left, but if I turned it around, yeah. Weeping willow is taller on the left. The one that goes in this taller piece. The taller one, weeping willow. Taller one, weeping willow. We don't have enough quite for everybody, but we will. When we bench, we'll pass it all on from person to person. What should we get? Hi, Rose. Oh, great that you could come. Wow, yeah, Baruch Hashem.
Sure, I'll do that work together. Yeah, that's part of
I mean, the taller one would be where the bigger one would be. Whichever, if you see the two wings, one is slightly taller, that's where our weeping willow will go. Yeah, yours do look the same. That's one slightly taller. Yeah, that's the weeping willow. That's the myrtle. That's all that was in. And the willow got a little moldy, looks like, this year. It does happen. Well, you have the right one in the middle. Most years I'm pleasantly surprised by the attendance on the first day of Sukkot, but this is apparently not. The willow goes in the taller one, yes. Willow has two L's in it, just like tall.
Oh, there you go. Now you're talking. That's better than my
But, you know, that also keeps it together better, you know.
It's well intended.
We have one more coming? It's Kara. Yeah, I knew she was coming eventually, so. Turns out, she's coming for the Amidah, or we could just go right to Hallel. It just depends what we want to do. Maybe the time for Amidah has come.
Yeah, I mean, typically what happens is they either mold or they dry out.
Right.
Well, we have mold right now.
First it molds, then it like that. But some years it doesn't mold, but this year.
I was just keeping it in the fridge if I could fit it.
Okay, when they're done, we're ashamed.
Well, I think we're gonna go right to Hallel. I mean, that's, we can have done that, but if we really want to. But you know, I don't know that we're gonna. Maybe I'll repeat myself instead.
So if you hear your taller one, the one that's gonna. Yeah, I think you probably need to put some on this scale, but no, I think the willow goes up.
Yeah, the other side. A snowman, I've never seen it try like that, Charles.
Wow.
At least look into these old shoes, so. Is that right? You go here?
So this will go.
I'll tell you.
And then you're good. Well, and if you
No, it's all right. Put these together. And we are gonna go right to Hallel. And I guess it's time for me to give some instructions on Hallel. Well, I'm waiting until they're all filled.
Here was several more. Let me just go over the two packets inside.
I don't think so.
No, but that's what we did.
part of it is.
That's
Okay, and then here, why don't you take this?
still on this, but yeah, you know, I don't
Yeah, so he's gonna tell us, he's gonna remind us, because I think we're all in the same boat. We kind of know, but we forget. It's only one to you. Right.
Now, in a moment, we're going to do Hallel. Now, when we get to the part where you actually shake it during Hallel, all right, just in case somebody's watching and they don't know what we're talking about, this is lulav and etron, the 4 species they're called, which we do on Sukkot, symbolic of the heart, the eyes, the lips, the spine. A good person has a kind heart, lips that speak kind words, eyes that see clearly, and a strong back. That's one of the symbolisms, but they're specifically named, these 4 species, in the Torah, and we gather them as symbolic of the harvest festival, which Sukkot is. Now, during Hallel, we're going to shake them in all directions. The idea that crops grow in all directions, peace grows, God's presence in all directions, but there's an order to it. We're going to do that when we take them also. It's front, to the right, behind, which ends up being over your right shoulder, to the left, up, and down. Now, we haven't said the blessing yet, and I'll get to that in a second. But when we're in the Hallel, and there are parts where you say it during Hallel, basically, I do the line, and then you do the line after me. Whatever it says in the book, don't pay attention to that. I do the line and the shakes, you do the line and the shakes following me. Okay? We're going to do it that way every time. The one thing that's weird about it is you don't shake while you're saying God's name, so then I'll be pulling it in. It's kind of complicated because, some are 6 words and some are 3 words, but anyway, I do it, you do it. That's kind of how it works. And if there's one principle, it would be that you don't shake during God's name. However, we couldn't even really effectively put in the willows and the myrtles all that easily. So whatever happens, happens. We're doing it. Exactly, it'll be nice. So we're going to be on page 379 as we rise and we say the blessings. Etrog in the left hand, lulav in the right hand, piton, the stem part, down. And we say the blessing with them down. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu, al netilat lulav. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, shehechianu, v'kiyamanu, v'higianu, lazman hazeh. And we will now do one set of shakes before Hallel begins. Front, to the right, behind, left, up, down. All right, and we are now ready for Hallel on page 380.
Yeah, remember you talked about turning the anthem.
So,
our piton is up.
your piton will now be up. It's only for the blessing that it's down, but it's not for a while in the Hallel, but you can, so you may want to put them down, pick it back up. I don't know, whatever's easier for you, because you might be turning pages, but, however you can do it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu likro et hallel. Hallelujah, hallelujah, avdei Adonai, hallelujah, et shem Adonai, yehi shem Adonai mevorach, me'ata ve'ad olam. ממזרח שמש עד מבואו מעולה על שם אדוני רום כל גויים אדוני על השמיים כבודו מכאדוני אלוהינו המגביהי לשבת המשפילי לראות בשמיים ובארץ מקימים מעפר דל את אשפור רעים אביון להושיבים נדיבים עם נדיבי עמו מושיבי עקרת הבית עם הבנים שמחה הללויה 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 בצאת ישראל ממצרים בית יעקב מעם לועז הייתה יהודה לקודשו ישראל ממשלותיו אמרה וינוס הירדן ייסוף לאחור הערים רק רחלים גבעות כבני צאן בצאת ישראל ממצרים בית יעקב מעם לועז מלך הים כי תנוס הירדן תיסוף לאחור הערים תרקדו חיילים גבעות כבני צאן מלפני אדון חולי ארץ מלפני אלוהי יעקב אבכי חצור אגמיים חלמיש למיינו מים לא לנו לא לנו כי לשמחתן כבוד על חסדך על עמיתך ישראל בטח באדוני עזרא מגינם הוא בית אהרון בטחו באדוני עזרא מגינם הוא יראי אדוני בטחו באדוני עזרא מגינם הוא אדוני זכרנו יברך יברך את בית ישראל יברך את בית אהרון יברך יראי אדוני הקטנים עם הגדולים יוסף אדוני עליכם עליכם ועל בניכם ברוכים אתם לאדוני עושה שמיים בארץ השמיים שמיים לאדוני והארץ נתן לבני אדם לא המתים יהללויה ולא כל ירדי טומאה אנחנו נברך מעתה ועד עולם מעתה ועד עולם הללויה אהבתי כי ישמע אדוני את קולי תחנוני כי היית אוזני אוזנו
Li'uv yama ekra. לך תפרני בארצות החיים, האמנתי כי אדבר, אני עניתי מאוד, אני אמרתי וחופשי, חוך האדם כל זה, משיב עלי כל תגמול עלי. נדבר אדוני שלם נגדנה לכל עמו, וחדשות בית אדוני בתוך ירושלים, הללויה. הללו את אדוני, כל גויים, שבחוהו, כל העמים, כי גבר עלינו חסדו, באמת אדוני לעולם, hallelujah. Now we take them. Hodu l'Adonai ki tov ki le'olam chasto. Now you do that. Yomarna Yisrael, ki le'olam chasto. Yomarna Yisrael, ki le'olam. I realize this will be easier if I just do one word instead of that song, so I'll do it like that, sorry. Yomruna Beit Aharon ki le'olam chasto. Yomruna Yireh Adonai ki le'olam chasto. Mina metzar karatia anani v'merchavia. Mina metzar karatia anani v'merchavia. Ozi v'zimratya vayili lishua. Ozi v'zimratya vayili lishua. Huli share tzedek avova morea. Huli share tzedek avova morea. Zeh hashar Adonai tzadikim yavovo. Zeh hashar Adonai tzadikim yavovo. Odecha ki anitani v'tehi lishua. Odecha ki anitani v'tehi lishua. Even masu habanim hayeta l'rosh bina. Even masu habanim hayeta l'rosh bina me'et Adonai. Hayta zot niflat be'einenu me'et Adonai. Hayta zot niflat be'einenu. Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismecha bo. Zeh hayom asa Adonai nagila v'nismecha bo. Love that etrog again. It's definitely repeat after me. And it's 2 shakes per word. Ana Adonai Hoshiana. Ana Adonai. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Adonai Hoshiana. hatzlichana. Ana Adonai hatzlichana. Hashem Adonai Baruch Beit Adonai Baruch Abba Hashem Adonai Baruch Beit Adonai El Adonai Vir Elanu Yisru Chag Bavotim Ad Karno Mizbeach El Adonai Vir Elanu Yisru Chag Bavotim Ad Karno Mizbeach Eli Ata Beodeka Elohai Aromimeka Eli Ata Beodeka Elohai Aromimeka Odu Adonai Ki Tov Ki Leolam Chasdo Yalduch Adonai Eloheinu Kol Maaseh Chasadecha Tzadikim Oseh Hatzon Ki Lechatzol Odol Shimcha Na'el Ezamer Ki Me'olam Ad Olam Ata El Baruch Ata Adonai Melech Me'olal Bat Yishmacho God, David Rashem Rabba, V'man Yivrachir Tevim Lichmachu Tevachayachon, V'machon Chen Chol Beit Yisrael, V'agalam Izman Karim V'himeru, Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Ve'olam B'lal Me'amaya Yitbam, Yitbarach V'ishtabach, V'varvim V'naseh, V'tdavid D'levi D'lal Shmei Kudsha, Elam Yikom B'chatav V'shiratam, Sh'chat V'nechemat T'amiram V'himeru, Tikvot Zodon Oton L'chosro, Koram V'shmai V'himeru, Yishom Rav Min Shemai V'chem V'al Yisrael V'himeru, Oseh Shalom Yimromav V'yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'al Kol Yishvei Tevel V'himeru. All right, 394. Torah. Who are our Shomrim and who is the Torah readers? Okay, Steve's reading, Susan's reading, and Jonah's reading. Okay, all right, so we will. Everyone's going to be doing different. I was just trying to figure out. So Karen, come open the ark with Joan, and Jerry, come carry a Torah with Marshall. Ein kamocha ve'Elohim Adonai ve'en kamasecha malchutecha malchut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'ador Adonai melech Adonai malach Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed Adonai ozem lo yitein Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom avarachamim Eitiva vertzoncha et Zion tivnei chomot Yerushalayim tivnei chomot Yerushalayim ki lecha levad patachnu melech el ram v'nisa adon olamim Vayivin so Aaron, Vayomer Moshe, Kuma Adonai, Ve'afutzu oivecha, Ve'anusu misanecha mipanecha, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, Ki mitzion tetzei Torah, U'devar Adonai, Yerushalayim, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Baruch Shenatan Torah, Le'amo Yisrael, V'kedushato Adonai, El Rachum V'Hanun, Erech Apayim, V'rav Chesed V'emet, Notzer Chesed L'alafim, Nosei avon v'afesha v'chata v'nakeh Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim, V'rav Chesed v'emet, Yotzer Chetzer Lalapim Vinake Adonai Adonai Vechanun Erech Apayim Rav Chesed Be'emet Yotzer Chesed Lalapim Yosei Avon Ba'fesha V'chata V'nakeh. It's the minion one, so there you go. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Echad Eloheinu Gadol Adonenu Kadosh Shemo. Adonai Iti Unerama Mashemo Yakav. Adonai, Hagedula, Hatiferet, Ve'anetzach V'kavod, Kihol Bashamayim V'aretz, Kihol Bashamayim V'aretz, Lecha Adonai HaMamlacha, Ve'amitnosei Lechol Erosh, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtakavu, Lehadam Raglav Kadosh Hu, Romemu, Adonai Eloheinu, V'hishtakavu, Lehar Kosho, Ki Kadosh, Adonai Eloheinu.
We need to go this way. I'm the best to do this.
We can be seated though. The Torah is seated. We'll just. All right, so while they're looking for that, we are going to be at Leviticus 22:26. Leviticus 22:26. That's page, not sure, but I'll find it. Someone will beat me to it. 22:26, the book of Leviticus. If you happen to have an Eitz Chaim Chumash, which if you're in this room you do, you're going to find it on page 723. These are the various commandments of the Chag. But we start with a little thing about the baby ox, goat, or sheep. 9 days it has to spend with its mother before it's a viable offering. And then we get into that there are fixed times, starting with Shabbat. So we have found it, and we're going to call upon Jerry Levine for the first Aliyah.
Amen. V'Yisrael B'Haya Shivat Yamim Ta'anivo U'Yom Hashmini V'Hala Yeratzeh L'Korban Yishel Adonai Shoroch Os V'Shoroch Oseh Tov V'Yetmeno Tov V'Yetmeno Lo Tishchatu B'Yom Echad V'Chi Tizvah U'Zevachtu Adonai L'Rtzonechem Tizbechu Tizbachu V'Yom Ha'u Yachachel Lo Totiru Mimanu Boker Ani Adonai U'Shmartem Mitzvotai Ve'asitem Otam Ani Adonai Lot Ani Adonai V'lo T'challelu Et Shem Kachi V'Nikdashki V'toch B'nei Yisrael Ani Adonai L'Kichem Hamotzi Etchem Me'eretz Mitzrayim V'yot Lachem Elohim Ani
Adonai.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayim anatah b'tzvachenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Yeshkoach. 4 through 14 is the second Aliyah, Passover, and the first sheaves brought to the priest. We call upon Charles Feldman for the second Aliyah, HaLevi.
Yamad Gabriel ben Shlomo HaLevi.
You know that one by heart, I think. Huh?
Baruch et Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch
Adonai Baruch Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar bonu mikol ha'amin v'natan lanu et Toratahu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Vayedaber Adonai el Moshe lemor daber el bnei Yisrael v'marta alehem mo'adei Adonai asher tikrahu otam b'kodesh Eloheim mo'adai sheshet yamim hazeh melach Ubayom Hashmi Shabbaton Mikra Kodesh Komalachet Kamalachalo Lotasu Shabbat Iladai V'chol V'chotem El Moedei Adonai Mikre Kodesh Asher Tikrahu Otam V'moadam Kodesh Harishon Ve'arba Asar LaChodesh Ve'aravim LaChodesh Ve'arbayim Pesach Adonai U'V'chamisha Asar Yom LaChodesh Hazeh Chag HaMatzot Adonai Shivat Yamim Matzot Tochelu Yom Harishon LaChodesh יהיה לכם כבוד לחם עבודה ותעשו והקראתם של אדוני שבעת ימים ויום השביעי נקרא קודש במלאכת עבודה ותעשו וידבר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר אל בני ישראל אמרת עליהם כי תבואו אל הארץ אשר אני נותן לכם וצרתם את קצירה והביתם את עומר ראשית קצירכם הכהן אני והעומר לפני אדוני לצונכם למחרת השבת יניפנו הכהן ועשי ויאמר לכם את העומר Omer, Kevet Kamim, Benchnato, Leola, Adonai, Lala, Adonai, Unchadosh, Mesradim, Shalom, Lulav Hashem, Asher, Ishel Adonai, Yehoah, Venisko Yayin, Rabbi, Ilachem, Velechem, Alivi Harmel, Lotoglu, Eitzem, Hayom Hazeh, Adam Yechem, Et Korban Olechem, Tukat, Olam Mikro, Dorotechem, Lechol Mishpotechem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan mana Torah net b'chayei olam natan b'sachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yeshua. We're going to be on verses 15 through 22 for the third Aliyah. Counting of the Omer and Shavuot. We call upon Roz Aronson for the third Aliyah. Yeshua, thank you, Steve.
Tamar, Rachel, Badleki, Vishmuel, Shlishi.
Bikurim Adonai, V'hikraftem al halechem, Shivat kvasim tmimim b'nei shana, Ufar ben bakar, Echad ve'lim shnayim, Yiyu al Adonai, U'mitchatam v'nizkehem, Yishereach nichoach Adonai, V'asitem, Zi'rizim echad v'chatat, U'shnei kvasim, B'nei shana l'zevach shlamim, V'hinif ha'kohen otam, Al lechem ha'bikurim tnufa livnei Adonai, Al shnei kvasim, Kodesh yiyu, Kodesh yiyu Adonai l'kohen, Ukratem ve'etzem hayom hazeh, Ikra kodesh yeh lachem, Kol malechet avodah lo ta'asu, Chukat olav, V'chol moshvotechem l'dorotechem, U'kutrechem, Ve'ketzir atzechem, Lo techaleh, Ve'at tzadachah v'kutrecha, Ve'leke ketzircha lo tulakeh, Le'ani v'laker ta'azov otam, Ani Adonai Elohechem.
All right, now Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. I know we just observed them, now we're going to read about them. 23 through 32, call upon Lisa Fernandez for the fourth Aliyah.
Lisa bat Chaim V'Karen V'Hi.
Amen. V'daber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael lemor, b'chodesh hashvi'i, b'echad lachodesh yeh lachem. Shabbaton zikaron trua mikra kodesh, kol melechet avodah lo ta'asu, v'hikravtem Yishel Adonai. V'daber Adonai el Moshe lemor, b'sur lachodesh hashvi'i hazeh yom ha'kippurimu, mikra kodesh yeh lachem, v'nitem et nafshotem, v'hikravtem Yishel Adonai, v'chol melacha lo ta'asu, v'etzem hayom hazeh ki yom kippurimu, l'chaper alechem, livnei Adonai Elohechem, ki kol hanefesh asher lo ta'ameh, ve'etzem hayom hazeh, v'nifrata me'amecha, v'kol hanefesh asher ta'aseh kol melacha, ve'etzem hayom hazeh, ve'ha'avati et hanefesh ahim mikerav ha'ma, kol melacha lo ta'asu, Chukat olam l'dorotechem, v'chol moshrotechem, Shabbat Shabbaton hilachem, hulachem v'nitem et nafshotechem, v'tisha l'kodesh ba'erev, me'erev ad erev, tishbetu shabbatchem.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah tonight. V'chayei olam natan v'tochenu, Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. All right, Sid, you're going to be the fifth Aliyah also, in addition to Hagva. And we are now going to talk about Sukkot, verses 33 through 44. And it's the rare one where we actually still do exactly what they tell us to do in the Torah, which is gather the four species, and it lists them, live in booths all 7 days, and perhaps most importantly, at least for today's purposes, rejoice in the festival.
Yamot, Stephen Hirschle, Palevi, Lamishi.
I think this is it.
Baruch Adonai Hamra.
Baruch Adonai
Baruch Adonai Hamra Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher lo karmanu min kol ha'anim v'natan lanu et Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu haTorah.
Amen. Vaydaber Adonai el Moshe lemor, daber el bnei Yisrael lemor, ב15 יום לחודש השביעי הזה חג הסוכות, 7 ימים לאדוני
ביום הראשון מקרא קודש, כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו. 7 ימים תקריבו אישה לאדוני, ביום השמיני מקרא קודש יהיה לכם, והקרבתם אישה לאדוני עצרת היא. כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו, אלה מועדי אדוני אשר תקראו אותם מקראי קודש, להקריב אישה לאדוני עולה ומנחה, זבח ונצחים דבר יום ביומו, מלבד שבתות אדוני ומלבד מתנותיכם, ומלבד כל נדריכם, ומלבד כל נדבותיכם, אשר תיתנו לאדוני. אך ב15 יום לחודש השביעי, ועוזבכם את תבואת הארץ, תחוגו את חג אדוני 7 ימים. ביום הראשון שבתון, וביום השמיני שבתון. וקחתם לכם ביום הראשון פרי עץ הדר, כפות תמרים, וענפי צבות וערי נחל, ושמחתם לפני אדוני אלוהיכם 7 ימים, וחגותם אותו חג לאדוני 7 ימים בשנה, חוקת עולם לדורותיכם. בחודש השביעי תחוגו אותו. בסוכות תשבו 7 ימים, כל האזרח בישראל ישבו בסוכות, למען ידעו דורותיכם, כי בסוכות הושבתי את בני ישראל, והוציאי אותם מארץ מצרים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. וידבר משה את מועדי אדוני אל בני ישראל.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher notan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam notan b'sachenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten Torah.
Amen.
Please rise.
Yikadal, Yikadal, Shemerah.
Amen.
Rock your head and lift off the head.
What's your name? You have it there, but I won't take it there. Stephen Hirschley, Halevi, Shalom, Likvod HaMakom, Likvod HaTorah, Likvod Haregel Lipodet, Yom
Haledet
Haledet
Sameach, Yom Haledet Sameach, Yom Haledet Sameach, Yom Haledet Sameach. Amen. Happy birthday.
May God bless you. Happy birthday. And now, as a result, you get to show that you're not aging a day. Show your strength with the Hagba and all you live.
Yamada, Yamada, Lel.
Ezot HaTorah Asher Sam Moshe Lifnei Bnei Yisrael Al Pi Adonai Miyad Moshe Yitzayim Nizam Achazikiva Vetrom Te'amerushar Yitzayim Nizam Achazikiva Vetrom Te'amerushar
All right, we may be seated, and we turn to Numbers 29. I think it's Numbers 29, 12 through 16.
Yeah.
All right, so page 934.
Baruch Adonai El Torah. Baruch Adonai Baruch Le'olam Lo'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. ובחמישה עשר יום לחודש השביעי מקרא קודש יהיה לכם כל מלאכת עבודה לא תעשו בחגותם חג לאדוני בחגותם חג לאדוני שבעת ימים והקרבתם עולה איש ירח ניפוח לאדוני זרים בני בקר 13 אלים, 2 כבשים בני שנה, 14 תמימים יהיו, ומנחתם סעודה גלולה בשבת, 13 ימים לפר האחד, ל13 פרים, 12 ימים ליל האחד, לשני האלים, ויסרון יסרון לכבש אחד, האחד ל14 כבשים, וזריזים אחד חטאת, מלבד עולת התמיד, מן כתב ונסתר.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah temethet haolam nata b'tofenu. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Microphone.
May God bless and heal all those who are sick. Supposed to pick me up from all over there, but I was not. All right. Including Scott Lawrence, Dai Bat Rezel, Hazan Shlomo Natan Ben Nechama, Barbara Rose, Lou Burrell, Eli Oak, Karina Gola Bat Hadavi Hudud Tzvi, Lehudid Bat Shena, Shabtai Dov and Shimon Moshe, Daniel Letzar, Ray Ranshaw, Missy Rose, and Albert Alter, Rosie Gurman, Leah Bat Shimon Lazar, Bob Rasters, Justin Hardy, Yechiel Ben Eliza, Eva Abrams Chaimowitz,
Martin Rosenthal, Shulamit Bat-Leah, Miriam Bat-Yehudit, Adele Mendelson, David Snyder, Maria Gotcha, Carmel Horia Bat-Ariel Sarah, Leda Bat-Fregla Vazalman. Any other names? Please go ahead and say them right now at this time. Baruch Hu merachmim aleim, kam rapatam v'shlachem v'farslem alachol v'reim b'yidihem tchashrechem Yisrael for nefesh for taguf yom tovu minzot for krava l'va'asha v'agayzman kariv and omar. Amen. May God bless and heal all those who are sick. May we continue to be with them in their time of need. Marty and Karen, please rise for Hakbat and Billy.
Yaman Amavia Taman Avalad.
Torah, Tziva Lanu Moshe. Haftarah, found on page 1253, 1253. Zechariah 14:1. Violent haftarah describing the prophet's vision of the end of days, but the really cool part is at the end, everyone in the world comes to observe Sukkot, not just the Jewish people. That is Zechariah's vision, and there are religious Christians who come for Sukkot because of that particular prophecy.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'dim tovim, v'ratza b'divreihem hanemarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'torah u'Moshe abdo, u'Yisrael amo, b'nbiei ha'emet v'tzedek. Hine yom ba'al Adonai b'chulak shel alef b'kirbeh, v'yasavti et kol hagoyim el Yerushalayim lamilchama, v'nilkata ha'ir v'nashasu habatim v'hanashim tishachavna, v'yatza chatzi ha'ir b'gala v'yeter ha'am Yikared min ha'ir, v'yatza Adonai v'nilcham b'goyim ha'hem, k'yom hilachamo v'yom karav, v'yamdu raglav v'yom habu, al har ha'zeitim asher al pnei Yerushalayim mikedem, v'nivka har ha'zeitim mechetyo, Mizracha v'yama gegedol hamod, umash chatzi ha'ar tzafona v'chetzyon negba, v'nastem geharai ki yagia geharim elatzal, v'nastem kasher nastem mipnei harash b'mei Melech Yehuda, U'Adonai Elohai Kol Kedoshim Imach, V'haya B'yom Hahu Lo Yiyeh Or Yikarot V'Kipon, V'haya Yom Echad Hu Yibadal Adonai Lo Yom V'Layla, V'haya Le'eter Yiyeh Or V'haya b'yom hahu yetu mayim chayim niru Yerushalayim Chetyam El Hayam HaKadmoni V'Chetyam El Hayam HaCharon V'Kayitu B'Choref Yeh V'Haya Adonai L'Melech Al Kol Haaretz B'Yom Hahu Yeh Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad Yisov Kol Haaretz Karava Migeva L'Rimon Negev Yerushalayim Rama V'Yoshva Tachteha L'Mishar Binyamin Ad Mekom Shar Harishon Ad Shar Hapinim Umigdal Hanael Ad Yikvei HaMelech V'yashvu ba v'cherem lo yod V'yashva Yerushalayim lavetach V'zot tiyeh hamagefa Asher yigof Adonai et kol hamim Asher tzavu al Yerushalayim Chamek b'saro V'hu omed al raglav Ve'nav timachna b'chorehen Kul shana timach b'fihem V'haya bayom hahu Tiyeh mehumat Adonai Rabbah bahem V'hecheziku ish yad re'ehu V'yalta yado yad re'ehu V'gam Yehuda tilachem Yerushalayim V'usav chel kol hagoyim Saviv Zahava chesef V'bgadim marov nod V'chein tiyeh magefat hasus Haperet hagamal v'hachamor V'chol habhema asher yiyeh V'machanot hahema Kamagefa hazod V'haya kal hanotar mikol hagoyim Abahim al Yerushalayim V'yalu midei shana v'shana L'ishtachavot l'melech Adonai tzvot V'lachog et chag haSukkot V'haya asher lo yaleh me'et mishpachot ha'aretz el Yerushalayim L'ishtachavot l'melech Adonai tzvot V'lo alehem yeh haGashem V'mishpachat Mitzrayim lo taleh V'lo va'ah v'lo alehem Tiyeh magefa Asher yigof Adonai et hagoyim Asher lo yalu lachog et chag haSukkot Zot tiyeh chatat Mitzrayim V'chatat kol hagoyim Asher lo yalu lachog et chag haSukkot B'yom hahu yeh metzilot hasus Kodesh l'Adonai V'haya hasirot b'beit Adonai Kamiz rakim lifnei hamizbeach V'haya Kalsir b'Yerushalayim u'Yehuda Kodesh l'Adonai tzvaot V'ahu kol hazovchim V'lachu mehem V'yishlu bahem V'lo yiyeh chananani od V'beit Adonai tzvaot b'yom hahu Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam tzur kol haolamim tzadik v'kol hadorot ha'el ha'ne'eman ha'omer yoseh ha'mdaber u'mkayim shekal devarav emet b'tzedek Ne'eman atahu Adonai Eloheinu v'ne'emanim devarecha v'davarecha bivarecha for lo yashuv rekam Ki Melech Ne'eman, Rachaman Ata, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ha'el Ne'eman, B'chol Devarah. Rafem Al Tzion Ki Beit Chayenu, V'ladu Bad Nefesh Toshia, B'mehera B'yameinu, Baruch Ata Adonai, V'samech Tzion B'banecha. Samcheinu Adonai Eloheinu, B'Eliyahu Hanavi Avtecha, U'Malchut Beit David Meshichecha, B'mehera Yavo B'yagel Libenu, Al Kiso Lo Yeshev Zar, V'lo Yinchalu Acherim Et Kavodo, Ki B'Shem Kachecha Nishbata Lo, Shelo Yikben Ero Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Ata Adonai, Magen David, Ala Torah, V'Ala Vodah, V'Al Hanbim, V'Al Yom Chag HaSukkot Hazeh, Shenatata Lanu Adonai Eloheinu, L'Sason U'Simcha, L'Chavod U'Tifaret, Al HaKol Adonai Eloheinu, Anachnu Modim Lach, U'Barchim Otach, Yitbarach Shimcha, B'fi Kol Chai Tamid Le'olam Va'ed, Baruch Ata Adonai, Mekadesh Yisrael V'Hazmanim.
Amen. Yashakoah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Marshall. We will continue our service with the Ashrei, page 420. Ashrei Ashrei V'Techa Yalucha Selah. Adonai Devar Pi V'Yorech Shem Kodsho V'Yorech Kol B'Tzor Shem Kodsho Le'olam V'Ev V'Nachnu Nevarech Yah V'Tavi Olam Hallelujah. And we rise now for the return of the Sifrei Torah to the Ark. Whoever took them out, take them back in. Yahalu Hashem Adonai Ki Niskav Shemo Levado Odo Aleret V'Shamayim Vayarem Keren Le'amo Tila Lechor Chasidav Livnei Yisrael Am Kerovo. Hallelujah, hallelujah. The David Mizmor. In honor of Frank Weinberg, Zusharim Rashechem V'inasu pitchei olam V'yavo melech hakavod Mize melech hakavod Adonai Izus v'gibor Adonai Gibor Milchama Zusharim Rashechem V'zchut pitchei olam V'yavo melech hakavod Mize melech hakavod Adonai Tzevahot U'melech hakavod Selah Unucho Yomar Eitz Chayim Hi Lemachzik Ima V'tomcheha Mehushar Diracheha Darchei Noam V'chol Tivoteha Shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha V'nashuva Hadesh Yameinu Hadesh Yameinu Kekedem. Amen. Please be seated for a couple of moments. All right, testing your rock lyric trivia knowledge. 2 themes of Sukkot. Both short sermons, one for today, one for Saturday. Wasn't even sure which one I was going to do when, but I think I've decided. But first, you got to name the song by the lyric. Okay, and Sukkot is kind of a clue. One in the title, but one only in the lyric. Okay. All right, the first one is Ooh, a storm is threatening my very life today. Ooh, a storm is threatening my very life today. Nobody on that one? Okay. Not from that part. You can barely understand the lyrics of the song, but if I hum the tune, the next line is, if I don't get some shelter, I'm going to fade away. Yes, Give Me Shelter by the Rolling Stones. All right, the next one, which will probably be Saturdays, but I'll do the rock trivia thing right now. This lyric has nothing to do with the title, though. Rejoice, rejoice, you have no choice. Well, the title's in the next phrase. It's a more obscure song. I mean, Give Me Shelter's in like every movie about the 60s. Rejoice, rejoice, you have no choice but to carry on. Yeah, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. Okay, carry on. So, rejoice. So we're going to talk about Give Me Shelter on Saturday, which of course has to do with Sukkot. We're going to talk about rejoice, rejoice, you have no choice. Oh, no, the opposite. So, rejoice, rejoice, you have no choice, we're going to talk about Saturday. Give Me Shelter, we're going to talk about now, because the passage is in the Leviticus part that we read today. The rejoice, rejoice line is actually in the Deuteronomy passage that we read tomorrow, but we won't read tomorrow because we won't be having services tomorrow. All right, but Give Me Shelter. So, I don't know how many of you read the article in the Times of Israel, or maybe somewhere else. In Mea Shearim, in Jerusalem, some people decided to build a sukkah this year on top of like really flimsy scaffolding. Anybody see that? Okay, hey, here's some scaffolding that's about to fall down. But hey, it's high up there, it'll make I can easily put some schach on the top. I've got a sukkah. So they did that. And it wasn't safe. And we've actually had that issue in Israel with ultra-Orthodox folks using their celebrations and valuing certain commandments of the celebration over the safety issue. And with Tisha B'Av was the most recent one, with the walkway past, was it Lag BaOmer or was it Tisha B'Av? Which, it was Lag BaOmer. It was Lag BaOmer. You're right, it was Lag BaOmer on the pilgrimage to Shimon Bar Yochai's grave. And lots of people died. So the scaffolding was very, very unsafe. And they were told to take it down. They didn't. They appealed to the court, and the court said they have to take it down. The police and city workers took it down amid protests. Now, the thing about a sukkah is, it is a flimsy structure anyway, right? I mean, that's, in a way, its purpose, right? It's not a permanent home. It's meant to be, I don't know if it's meant to be flimsy, but they are flimsy. Since it's not permanent, it sort of can be flimsy. But oddly enough, first of all, it's not supposed to be that flimsy. It's not supposed to be a danger to both people who live in and all the people who walk on that street below, where the entire thing could have easily collapsed. But it's meant to remind us of safety. Even though it's a flimsy structure, the sukkah is supposed to remind us of being sheltered. And specifically, God sheltering us in our wanderings in the wilderness. So, if I read you, which Susan read, Leviticus 23, verse 42 and 43, you shall live in booths 7 days, all citizens in Israel shall live in booths, in order that future generations may know that I made the Israelite people live in booths when I brought them out of the land of Egypt. I, Hashem, am your God. Now, the Hebrew on 43, Leman Yadu Dorotechem, in order that future generations shall know, Ki Vasukot Hoshafti. So the way that Eitz Chaim is translating it is, because in Sukkot or in Sukkahs, I caused them to dwell. But the commentators, for the most part, don't read it that way. And you could read it a different way. They read it as Hoshafti, as redemption, redeeming, which it could also mean. So they read it as Basukot Hashafti, with Sukkot I redeemed you. Now we can take that to mean the whole concept of the building of the sukkah and that God created these temporary shelters for us in the wilderness. But, they live temporarily, but they don't really talk about booths in the wilderness. That's not actually, they didn't go to every spot in all their wanderings and set up a whole bunch of booths. So Rashi says, because with Sukkot are redeemed, that means the cloud of glory. The cloud of glory is actually the sukkah that protected the Israelites all those years in the wilderness. Rashbam, elaborating on that, but also focusing on the line in order that the generations know, in order that you should remember that with Sukkot, I saved Israel in the desert for 40 years without settlement, without a land, and for this you should give thanks to the one who gave them a land and houses full of good, like in the future, right? So our houses today are due to God's pillar of cloud protecting us, sheltering us as a sukkah in the wilderness. And you should not just say in your heart, my strength and strength of hand brought me this success. Okay, so it wasn't you. And when you build your sukkah, well, I especially don't say, wow, I'm amazing, I built a sukkah. I build it with a prefab kit, and most years I build it means Joe and Gilbert really build it. And I stand there and like hold a bar. Okay, so, but even if you build an amazing sukkah and it looks fantastic, it's decorated fantastically, and it's held up, and you did it from scratch because you're the handiest person ever, you're not supposed to flex, as they say today. You're not supposed to puff out your chest and say, look what I did. And the same thing with your regular home too, because those homes, and that sukkah especially, is there for the grace of God go I. And that was proven to us, according to Rashi and Rashbam, by the pillar of cloud. God's presence, that's what actually was in there protecting us. Just, by the way, a little bit of fun facts about Gimme Shelter, right? It's really often associated with Vietnam, and that was part of it. But it was really the whole death of culture in the 60s that the Rolling Stones both contributed to and kind of liked, but they're also mourning it, and they're worried about the violence. So, if I don't get some shelter, I'm going to fade away. And it talks about war, rape, murder, fire, and flood. And then the last line, which is the one I could never understand until I looked up lyrics. War, it's just a shot away. And I thought it was shadow, right? It's just a shot away. War is a shot away. But then it also adds, love is a kiss away. War is a shot away, love is a kiss away. And the line between the violence and the love is very thin. The line between life and death, symbolized by the sukkah, a structure that can collapse, and the protection of God's love. It's a very, very fine line. Just like the song says, although I'm relatively sure they were not basing it on Sukkot or any passage of Torah. But that message is so important. I want to conclude by saying you don't have to just remember it on Sukkot. You're actually meant to remember that message every night, because that's the Hashkivenu basically also says, right? Ufros aleinu sukkot shlomecha. Spread over us the shelter, the sukkah of your peace. And that's not a literal sukkah that you build. That's meant to ask God for protection, like a pillar of cloud, and that you wake up at all the next day. So actually that message is an everyday, or at least an every night message. So give me shelter, and let it be just a kiss away, and let it be reminded that that shelter is really not about us, and not what we build. It's always, on some level, about there but for the grace of God, there but for the pillar of cloud. Go on. Chag Sameach. All right. We are going to rise now for Musaf, 428. And we're going to do the whole thing out loud. No silent, because kind of making up for what we missed this morning with no out loud, but saving just a little bit of time. Yikra v'yikra shemei Rabbah, Yamad yivrach yirtei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'byomechon uv'chayerechon Beit Yisrael ba'agala uv'izman ka'ari v'meru Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach Le'olam olam me'omaya yitbarach Yibarach v'ishtabach yibar v'ram v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shmei l'kudsha Le'la min kol berchata v'shirata tushvechata v'nechemata Ta'amiran v'yalma v'meru
456. Adonai Sifatak Tiftach Ufi Yagit Tehilateha Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu Elohei Abraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah El Hagado Hagibor V'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei Hakol V'Zocher Chastei Avo U'Mevi Goel Livnei B'Neihem L'man Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Mashiach U'Magen Baruch Atah Adonai Magen Avraham U'Fokei Tzara Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mechayim Eitim Atah Rav Le'Hoshia Mechalkei Chayim B'Chesed Mechayim Eitim B'Rachamim Rabim Tzomech Noflim V'Rafech Olim Umatir Asurim Umekayem Emunato Lishenei Afar Michamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umito Melach Melech Meimi Umatzmiach Yeshua V'ne'eman Atzalchei U'Meitim Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayei HaMeitim Na'aritzecha V'na'atishecha Kesod Tziyach Sarvei Kodesh Hamakdishim Ba'Kodesh Kakatuv Al Yad Yiviecha Razeh El Zeh Ve'amar Kadosh, Kadosh, Kadosh Adonai Tzvaot Melech Haaretz Kevodo Kivodo Malei Olam, Mishartav Shradim Zelazeh, Ayim Mekom Kivodo, Liumatam Baruch Yomeru, Baruch Kivod Adonai, Mimkomo, Yifen Berachamim, V'yachon Ham Yacharim Shemo, Erev HaBoker, V'cho Yom Tamid, Pamayim V'Ava, Shema Omrim, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Hu Eloheinu, Hu Avinu, Hu Malkeinu, Moshienu, Vehu Yashmeinu Barachama, Sheni Li'enei Kochai, Sheni Li'enei Kochai, Liot Lachem Elohim. Adir Adirenu Adonai Adonai Adir Shimcha B'chol Haaretz Adonai L'melech HaKol Haaretz B'yom Adonai Echad U'Shemo Echad U'Divrei Kodesh Katuv Le'mor Yimloch Adonai Le'olam L'dor V'ador Nagikot Lecha Letzim Krishacha Nabdi Shulchan Eloheinu Mepinu Eloheinu Shelam Va'ed Kemelech V'Kadosh Ata Baruch Atah Adonai Ha'el HaKadosh. Page 462. Ata v'chartanu mikol ha'amim, ahavta otanu v'ratzita banu, v'romamtanu mikol ha'leshonot, v'kidashtanu v'mitzvotecha, v'kerafta malkin le'avodatecha, v'shimcha ha'gadol v'akadosh aleinu karata. Ata v'chartanu mikol ha'amim, ahavta otanu v'ratzita banu, v'romamtanu mikol ha'leshonot, v'kidashtanu v'mitzvotecha, v'kerafta malkin le'avodatecha, v'shimcha ha'gadol v'akadosh aleinu karata. Ay 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 ay. Ata v'chartanu mikol ha'amim. Vitzil lanu Adonai gava, modim l'simcha, chagim l'zonim l'sasom et yom, chag hasukot hazeh zman simchatenu, mikra kodesh zecher l'tziat Mitzrayim, ubnei chataenu, galinu me'artzenu, v'nitrachachnu me'al admatenu, yiratzon v'nechanai Eloheinu v'avotenu, melech nechaman, ha'meshibanim ligvulam, שתשוב ותרחם עלינו ועל מקדשך ברחמך הרבים, ותבנהו מהרה ותגדל כבודו, ותקבל ברחמים את תפילת עמך ישראל בכל מקומות מושבותיהם. אבינו מלכנו, גלה כבוד מלכותך עלינו מהרה וכי נעשה עלינו לעיני כל חי, וקרב פזורנו מבין הגויים, ונפוצותינו כנס מירכתי הארץ. ואבינו לציון עירך, ברינה לירושלים בית מקדשך בשמחת עולם, ששם עשו אבותינו לפניך את קורבנות וחובותיהם, תמידים כסדרם ומוספים כהלכתם, ושם נעבודך באהבה וביראה כמעולם, וכשנים קדמוניות. ונוסף יום חג הסוכות הזה, עשו והקריבו לפניך באהבה, כמצוות רצונך ככתוב בתורתך, על ידי משה עבדך, מפי כבודך כאמור. For some congregations, we continue on 468. Eloheinu vele avotenu, bottom paragraph, melech rachaman, rachem alenu tov umetiv, hidaresh lanu, shiva elenu, bahamon rachamecha, בגלל אבות שעשו רצונך, בני ביתך כבתחילה, בכרונן מקדשך על מכונו, ברינו בבנייננו ושמחנו בתיקונו, וישב כהנים לעבודתם ולוויים לשירם וזמרם, וישב ישראל לנביהם. ושם נעלה ונראה ונשתחווה לפניך בשלוש פעמי רגלינו ככתוב בתורתך. שלוש פעמים בשנה יראה כל זכורך את פני אדוני אלוהיך במקום אשר יבחר בחג המצות וחג השבועות וחג הסוכות, ויראה את פני אדוני ריקם איש כמתנת ידו כברכת אדוני אלוהיך אשר נתן לך. ועשה אדוני אלוהינו את בברכת מועדיך לחיים ושלום ושמחה וששון, כאשר רצית ואמרת לברכנו אלינו ואבותינו, קודשנו מצוותיך ותנתנו בתורתך סבינו ותבך עסקנו בשבועתך, ותפר לבנו לעבדך באמת, ואכלנו אדוני אלוהינו בשמחה וששון מועדי קודשך, צדקו בך ישראל מקדשי שמך, ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש ישראל בהזמנים. רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל כתפילתם, והשם אתה לדביר ביתך ותפילתם באהבת רצון תהי רצון תמיד עבודת ישראל עמך, ותחזינו עינינו לשובך לציון רחמים, ברוך אתה אדוני ומחזיר שכינתו לציון, מודים אנחנו לך שאתה אדוני אלוהינו. ועל כולם יברך ויברום שלך מלכנו תמיד לעולם ועד, והנה מידוך הסלע ולרשם את שמך באמת ישועתנו ותקרנו סלע, ברוך אתה אדוני הטוב שלך לכן להודות. אלוהינו ואבותינו, ברכנו בברכה משולשת בתורה, כתובה על ידי משה עבדך, אמרם פי אהרון, ובניו כהנים, עם קדושך כאמור. יברך אדוני וישמרך, יראה נא פניו אליך ויחונך, יישא נא פניו אליך וישם לך שלום. שים שלום ועולם, טובה וברכה. טוב בעיניך לברך את עם ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, בראת את עמו ישראל בשלום. 530, page 530. We need a couple Torah carriers, Torah holders, I should say, and a couple ark openers. And everyone else, if anyone else wants to grab their lulav and etrog, we're going to social distantly parade around the room. Yeah, but we're not really shaking them heavy, you know, so. And actually, you know what? We're going to parade around here instead. Good idea. Please rise.
Okie doke. So, yeah, you guys, I think, do you go to the table? I think you, or you just hang out there. Hanging out there is fine. Gotta get to the 5:30. And we'll go to, yep, so. Hoshana, Mancha Eloheinu, Hoshana, Hoshana, Mancha Bareinu, Hoshana, Hoshana Laman Golenu, Hoshana, Hoshana Laman Chador Sheinu, Hoshana, Hoshana, Laman Amitach, Laman Beritach, Laman Godlach, Betifartach, Laman Datach, Laman Hodach, Leman Be'idach, Leman Zichrach. Oh, I meant to go just here. So. You know, the Torahs don't parade, believe it or not. I know you would think they would, but they don't.
No.
Yeah, I know. It's a strange thing. Leman Chasdecha, Leman Tuvach, Hoshana, Leman Yechudach, Leman Kibudach, Leman Limudach, Leman Machutach, Leman Nitzchach, Leman Zodach, Leman Uzach, Leman Berach, Leman Zikatach, Leman Kedushatach, Leman Rachamecha Harabim, Leman Shechinatach, Leman Tilatach, Hoshana, 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 Hoshana. Skip to 5:35. Hoshia et damecha, uvarech et nachatecha, urei, 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 menashe, urei, menashe mar haolam. Hoshia et damecha, uvarech et nachatecha, urei, 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 menashe, urei, menashe ad Ha'olam. Vayiyu d'varai el asher itchananti lifnei Adonai keruvim el Adonai Eloheinu yomam v'layla la'asod mishpat avdo u'mishpat amo Yisrael devar yom v'yomo leman dat kol amei haaretz ki Adonai hu ha'Elohim eno. All right, and then we close the ark, put the Torahs back. A little bit after people didn't want to go on the parade, the Torahs wanted to go on the parade, but you know, whatever it was. Normally it's a procession around the room, but we didn't know whether to go in the room, and then we'd make a mess, and then we'd get too close to each other. So it's all just part of the mess. We're going to be turning back to page 506. Shkoch Yikrav Yikra Shmei Rama V'mani Brecher Teva Mishpachu Teva Chaychon V'machan Chaychon Beit Yisrael V'galam Yisman Perivim Baru Amen Yehei Shmei Rama Mevorach Le'olam L'al Me'omaya Yitzrach Rach Yishtabach V'barva Amina Sevet V'darvi Televi Tval Shmei Kutsha Re'u Le'lam V'kol B'chatam V'shiratam Sh'chatam V'chamat Atam Yiram V'yamav Yimeru Tikvot Zolton V'oton L'chashrel Kram V'koloni V'shmaya V'yimeru Yishon V'mit Shemayim V'chinel V'kol Yisrael V'yimeru Oseh Shalom Yiramav V'yaseh Shalom Aleinu V'yakol Yisrael V'yakol Yishvei Tevel V'yimeru Enke Eloheinu, Enke Adonenu, Enke Malkeinu, Enke Moshienu, Michel Eloheinu, Michad Donenu, Michel Malkeinu, Michel Moshienu, Nodel Eloheinu, Nodel Adonenu, Nodel Malkeinu, Nodel Moshienu, Baruch Eloheinu, Baruch Adonenu, Baruch Malkeinu, Baruch Moshienu, Atahu Eloheinu, Atahu Adonenu, Atahu Malkeinu, Atahu Moshienu, Atahu Shiktiru, Avotenu, Lefanecha Eketoret Hasamim. Please rise. Aleinu L'Shabbat.
Ladon HaKol, Matei Gedula Leotzer Bereshit, Shelo Asanu Kikogei Haratzot, Velo Samanu, Mishpachot Adama, Shelo Samchalkenu Kahem, Vegor Aleinu Kecho Avoram, Vadachnu Korim, Umishkachavim Ubodim, Lifnei Melech, Malchei Amlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. כתוב בתורת אחרוניים לו, לעולם ועד, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד. Mourners and those observing Yortzeit, please remain standing. All others can be seated. 512. Yit Gedal, Yit. Amen. Rachirute, Evlit Malchute. Amen. Yeheshme, Rabba Mevorach, Leolam Lo Meo Maya. Rechu. Amen. Remember the blessing. Tomorrow's second day Sukkot services are at Beth Jacob or elsewhere. Minyan on Thursday, that will be Chol HaMoed, so we'll be doing Hallel. We will be including Lulav and Etrog. We will, it'll start at 8. Friday night, 6:15. I believe we will be outdoors. Staff might not know it yet, but that is my plan. We've moved things around a little bit because the sukkah's out there, but I think you don't do outdoors. I mean, if the Sukkot is the 1 week where we don't do outdoor services, it just feels wrong. So we will be out there one way or another. But after that, most Friday nights are going to be back in the sanctuary. It has to do with the bar bat mitzvahs and the social hall setups and things like that. So we're going to be moving back into the sanctuary for Friday nights soon, as well as Saturday mornings. Erev Simchat Torah will be outside, and that's on Tuesday night or Monday night? Tuesday night. Erev Simchat Torah on Tuesday night will be outside. Shmini Atzeret, Tuesday morning, will be inside, and Wednesday morning, Simchat Torah will be inside. Those are the two that we have a lot of trouble getting people for, so if you're able to come next Tuesday and Wednesday, Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah, greatly appreciate it. As further incentive, Chazanit Yael Krieger will be here on Shmini Atzeret, which includes the prayer for rain, so she's going to be doing that. I only do it after there's drought, and then there's fast and all that stuff, but she'll be doing it, she'll be here that day. So let's see, we do need you to leave the Lulav and Etrog here because they're needed at Minyan on Thursday. And so please do, unless you ordered one. I'd put them somewhere. I'd put them on in that front row. It's the easiest thing we'll know where they are. So I think that is it. There's no Kiddush lunch, but they're coming. They're coming very soon. They're starting with the bar bat mitzvahs, and then they hopefully will continue. And the way they're going to work is we're going to do, it's a little preview, we're going to do Kiddush and Motzi from the Bima. Then you go down, you pick up your food in a buffet line in the social hall from servers, and you eat it outside. So that's the current plan. Yeah, the first bar mitzvah, so I guess that is October 2nd, right? Ruthie Feldhammer, maybe? All right, so there we go. But these are the Kiddush lunches in some ways I miss the most, these post-Chag ones. It's a little quiet little thing, and it's really a very easy-going, hang out.
But anyway, next year. So we're getting close, at least we think. Charles, what do you got? I'm not sure I understood anything. I heard the word rain.
Reina.
Yeah, okay. I can't imagine that it did, but there isn't. There's no service tomorrow. Because we never have second day unless it's on Monday or Thursday. So, anyway, but if it did, hopefully no one will be here. Okay, and it's likely that no one will be here, even if they read.
And ask 10 people.
Anyway, Adon Olam, 5:14. Adon Olam asher malach b'terem kol yitzir nivra li'et nasa v'efso kol azai melech shemo nivra v'yacharei kiklot hakol V'va'ato yimloch nora, v'hu haya, v'hu hoveh, v'hu yiyeh v'tifara, v'hu echad v'ein sheni, l'hamshilo l'hachbira, v'li reshit, v'li tachlit, v'lo ha'oz v'ha'misra, v'hu li v'chai go'ali, v'tzur cheli v'eit zara, v'hu nisi umanos li, menat kosi v'yom ekra, v'ya'ado akid ruchi, v'eit ishan v'ya'ira, v'im ruchi geviati, Adonai li v'lo ira. Chag Sameach.